Hey everybody, it's Onslaught here bringing you another Disney Sorcerer's Arena video, and in this video we're going to go over the top leadership abilities of the characters in Disney Sorcerer's Arena, and we're going to rank each of the 16 characters in order from worst to best. There's a lot of controversy, there's a lot of differing opinions, and I wanted to bring to you guys a video that discussed all 16 of the characters' abilities with a little bit regard to the meta, a little bit of the characters that are in play, but primarily focused on the abilities itself. Let's go check it out. Beginning our list, all the way down at the bottom at number 16, Judy Hopps. So, Judy Hopps, coming in at the bottom of the list. I gave her an F ranking. Now, it could have been potential for a lot of other characters to take this bottom spot. There are a lot of leadership abilities that are just not that great. But we look at Downtown Hero. It's a fairly large tag. There's a lot of quality characters in this category spot. We have the Incredibles team in there. We have a lot of Toy Story characters in there. Some of the new tech heroes are coming in. Big Hero 6 is probably going to wind up in there. So there's a lot of characters that fit the tag. So her ranking wasn't because she didn't have a lot of characters that went into this, and her ranking wasn't necessarily even because she herself is a bad character. She's a good character. Lots of players have her at 7 stars, and they're trying to push her towards max gear. She has chain attack. She's got some, she is a good character. She's somebody you should be going after. Downtown Hero teammates gain an 8% dodge chance. Why is this a bad thing? Well, because dodge isn't really explained a whole lot in the stats. I dug through it. I dug through some of my videos. I dug through some of Cubs fans and Cozy Gamers videos. I also looked through the DSA fans and Glue's webpage. There's not a whole lot talking about dodge chance. So unless we find information that shows that certain characters have differing dodge chance, it's safe to assume that every character has the same dodge chance, and the only thing that Judy does is give you an 8% better dodge chance. Well, 8% is not very high. And if I'm rolling dice to just not get attacked, it's way easier for me to dodge attacks just by being faster than my opponents or by hitting harder than them and eliminating them before they eliminate me. Moving on to spot 15, Syndrome. So, 15, Syndrome. Okay, villain teammates receiving a bonus 4% chance to deal a critical strike. Okay, now critical strike chances in the game vary between 24% at astigirl, trickling down to the 15% for most characters, and then down further for a lot of the less critically striking characters in the game. So if I had a tag of villain that's fairly large, and I like that. But if I was looking at just boosting my chance to do a critical strike, I'm trying to find a balance between characters that already have a pretty decently high chance to do a critical strike, also deal damage, and are also going to be useful on my team. So while dealing a bonus critical strike is already not that great, most of the summoner stones that we had the option to give our characters, very few people were even picking critical strike chance. Most of it was going to offense or critical power. So he's kind of like having a bad summoner stone and you trying to decide, well, where do I put this? He is an early game leader, so players have used him. And I think that perhaps maybe some of the arguments to players were players that were like, but my characters, they crit striked every single turn. That's the applause that you're going to get for that, and now we're done with it because this is just not good. I look at the characters that we're going to put him with. This is me just going, what characters kind of hit hard and can I compose a team? So it's the same thing that I did with Judy Hopps, even though I forgot to discuss it. We have a best with and a potential category. The best with this is the best 5 players I think you can put with this leadership ability. And the potential is for if you don't own those best with characters or you want to just try out a couple other things. This is mostly characters that already had a high crit chance in the first place and were also usable on teams. So Shere Khan had a pretty high offense. Morty's your defensive character. Davy Jones goes fast, has a silence, already has high crit chance and crit power. Big Bad Wolf's got an AoE, Facilier. So we just kind of wound up with a bunch of characters that were in there. But again, this is rank 15. It's an F. I would avoid it. Not something that we want to see. Next on the list, we love them. We want them to be good. They're a big part of our childhood memory. They just haven't seemed to do the trick yet. 14th spot, Woody. Moving into spot 14, we have Woody. Okay, Teammates get a bonus 2% tenacity, but Toy Story characters instead are going to get a 14 bonus tenacity. So first we got to understand tenacity. Tenacity is your ability to resist harmful effects. Now, there are lots of harmful effects that get handed out in the game, so this is certainly not something to overlook. If the meta shifts and we see more teams that are going after applying lots of slows or applying lots of charms or applying lots of defense down, which we do have, don't get me wrong, a lot of those characters do exist, then perhaps a Toy Story team purely focused on this would be the route that you want to go. So while Woody is not necessarily a great leader in terms of overall leadership ability, he has the potential at a higher geared team to be somebody you would bring in to counter certain teams on defense in matches like Club Conquest or the tournament arena. Probably not PvP because you just wouldn't be seeing the teams ahead of time, so it would be tough to bring in a counter team, whereas in Sorcerer's Tournament you see them ahead of time. The best with is also kind of a downside because you're not really getting too much of a benefit on that 2% bonus tenacity, but you're getting a huge benefit at 14 and 16 from the Toy Story characters. So you're either running him with Toy Story characters or you're just not running him with anybody. So we're looking at the team listed: Jesse, Bo, Peep, Buzz Lightyear, Emperor Zurg. There's a lot of different options in terms of tanks and healers. There's a lot of different options in supports and offensive characters. So more of a countering character, less usability and viability around the elsewhere, competing with other leaders in the Toy Story category makes him fall at 14. Coming in at number 13, he seems bad, he seems tough. People have claimed he's got potential in different areas. I got him at number 13, and that is Hopper. 13. I've seen the videos. I have seen people trying to claim that Hopper is going to be that counter with his tenacity to the big game meta. Spoiler alert, if Woody didn't do it at 16% tenacity, Hopper's not doing it at 8% tenacity. And I understand the Wilds characters are just better than the Toy Story characters. Look at the best with Sven, Kristoff, Elsa, just nuts. Those are great characters. They're at the top of the meta. They're on Essential on most people's lists. They're S tier or A tier on most people's tier lists. They're just solid characters. But it's just 8% bonus tenacity is just not going to get you there. Okay, the best with is characters that obviously were some of the better wild characters. They had high tenacity to begin with. Elsa has a very high tenacity, and one of the highest tenacities, if not the highest tenacity out of all the offensive characters, plus she fits that wilds tag. Okay, Hopper is a good character. He has the ability to move some cleanses around. He's got ability to apply harmful effects to his opponents with his 35% chance if he takes an ability. But the problem is he's your defensive character and he doesn't have a taunt. And if you've played other games like this, that's what you're looking for in your defensive character, is the ability to kind of go slow, move things around, and have a couple like cool supporty aspects, but mainly taunt and draw the fire away from the characters that are dealing damage. The potential characters are for if you didn't farm the Frozen team or you didn't want to see a Frozen team, you could throw in characters like Simba, Mordu, and Scar because they hit pretty hard, they fall in the Wilds category, they have high health, they have high defense, and tenacity would certainly benefit them because their base tenacities are already fairly high. Coming in at number 12, also another part of the Toy Story crew. We thought he was a good guy, turned out to be a bad guy. That's Lotso. It was tough for me to put this character at 12, given that they don't even have a full team to go with them. But if I have to hold true to the other things I found in this game, it's that health is not something to joke around about. Your maximum health in this game, to an extent, does more for you than even the speed of your character, and does way more for you than the defense that's going to be applied. So we're getting 20% maximum health to Toy Story villains. Granted, it is only in Club Conquest, but most of this game is Club Conquest. Once you've hit that max area and you've maxed out your towers and you've maxed out your abilities, we don't have a lot of other content left. And so if I'm looking to grind characters and get lots of leaders and put teams together to function in Club Conquest, then I want to make sure that the teams that I'm putting in and farming and going after are towards the top of that list. Now, he's not the only character specific to Club Conquest, but he falls short of Simba in that he doesn't have a full team to go with him. So the other positive side to Lotso that Simba doesn't have is that he gets it while he's attacking. Simba's only goes for defense. Lotso's goes on both ends of the spectrum. But again, he doesn't have a full team. So Emperor Zurg is a very quality character. Chunk, very useful, very quality. Big Baby has his niches. Lotso has those niche areas. We're still missing that fifth character to go with the team. And even with a fifth character, without like 6 and 7 characters, and Toy Story is very limited right now, unless they really start stretching and just creating like random toys that were kind of villains in the movies to pull in, it's going to be hard to see him kind of move forward. He does have 3 levels to his leadership ability, which could be viewed as a positive or a negative in terms of whether you think you like the fact that he has 3 tiers or you don't like the fact that you have to spend all those runes to get him up there. But Toy Story villains gaining offense up for a turn and life drain up for a turn at the start of the battle is just kind of salt in the wound to that 20% max health. So not only is it going to be harder for the other team to hit me, but in my first turns, I'm going to hit harder and I'm going to gain that life back, just reducing the damage that my opponent was able to do. And with Chunk's ability to move the effects around and steal effects from the other team and shut down effects and put harmful effects on the other team, you can get an even bigger gain there, especially with characters that put defense down on the other team, and then level 3 getting more max health. So not exactly the best leadership ability. Could make an argument that it should be below the others because it doesn't have a team, but in just the leadership ability itself, maximum health is going to go a long way, especially in Cub Conquest. So I have Lotso at 12. Just barely missing the top 10 at spot number 11, it's Astigirl. So just barely missing the top 10, and again, just because of that bonus critical chance. When we looked at Summoner Stones were just, you weren't putting crit chance on anybody. You really weren't doing it. Now, Incredibles Heroes getting 14% crit chance, that's really good. And I definitely want my Incredibles Heroes to crit when they attack, because Dash already hits pretty hard. Elastigirl's already hitting pretty hard. Jack hits fairly hard. So now I'm guaranteeing to deal even more damage. These characters are fast. They have the ability to have sustainability through Violet and through taunts from Mr. Incredible. This is a pretty good ability. The downside to this ability is that it's really only getting a benefit for Incredibles characters. That 2% bonus crit chance on just the rest of your team might as well not exist. Elastigirl is a leader that you're running with a full team of Incredibles, or at least probably 3 other Incredibles. You're at least running Dash and Mr. Incredible and her, probably Jack, and then somebody else. I know Violet gets dropped from a lot of teams, but you do get a benefit from running her. I know she does not a lot of damage, really, really little attacking, and is more just stealthing and putting shields up. She has spots in other places, but if you're not at least running those 2 to 3 other Incredibles characters, then the benefits that you're getting aren't anywhere else. So let's say you drop Violet in our potential category. There are characters that just have high crit chance rates, such as Davy Jones, Merida, Stitch, and Mulan. Stitch is really good because he's going to attack a lot. And every time he attacks, he's growing arms, and he's getting there. If Mr. Incredible keeps a taunt over, you can get Stitch to run away pretty hard. Davy Jones is going to attack and potentially get silences down. That helps you protect Dash and the rest of your team. So there's a little bit of flexibility there, but not enough that I would rank her any higher than spot 11. And certainly not higher than the characters coming in the future of this video. All right, here we are breaking into our top 10. And the first leader here at number 10, breaking into the top 10, is Dr. Facilier. So breaking into the top 10 at number 10, I have Dr. Facilier. So potency, if you don't know what it is, it's essentially the ability to land harmful effects or guaranteed effects for your character. So, for instance, Big Bad Wolf has a chance to inflict defense down on the other team when he uses Blow the House Down. He now gets an 8% greater chance to do that thing. And at first you might be thinking, well, you took the other characters that didn't have that, or that had a similar number or even greater number for their chances, and you rank them lower than Facilier, so why did Facilier get up so high? Well, potency and the ability to land things typically goes harder and and you get more for your money than you do from resisting things. So if you're all in, for instance, if you're all in on the chance to resist something versus all in on the chance to deal something, you're more looking at an analogy like this. Would you rather be the person that had all the threats or that had all the answers? Because if I have a deck of all threats, then my opponent has to consistently draw an answer to stop me. Whereas if I have only answers, then I have to hope my opponent plays a threat, and if they never play a threat, everything in my hand is dead. So Facilier plays in that same kind of category. He is guaranteeing that you're coming at your opponent with threats and that your threats are hitting a little bit harder. And so they're already guaranteed to do something, but now they're guaranteed a little bit more, right? Big Bad Wolf's already going to hit everybody with his attack. He just gets an 8% greater chance to inflict defense down. Whereas if I'm running somebody like Woody, and Woody's just going to resist that defense down, he's not stopping the damage from coming through, he's just stopping defense down. And while that's not, there's nothing to joke around about, it's still good, right? It's doing its thing. Woody isn't, if Woody's potential misses, that's really bad because you were banking on resisting those effects. If Facilier's 8% doesn't get there, you're not really at a loss, right? The game's not over. Whereas you're going way more all in on Woody's ability and having it not hit than you are on Facilier's. So downtown villains, it's a little bit more restrictive than just the villains tag. I gave him a C. I looked at the downtown villains list. You have characters like Chunk and Jangles that can be your tanks, that can apply useful effects and really just take the benefit of potency because they have the ability to apply harmful effects. Their harmful effects are good harmful effects. They have the ability to sustain those harmful effects for multiple turns, and they're going to really benefit from that extra chance to land those abilities. Boggs has the ability to fear 2 turns in a row, and Big Bad Wolf's defense down. If you don't have those characters, the other downtown villains like Demona, Lotso, and Emperor Zurg have less abilities that they really need to land, but they are downtown villains, so they still benefit from that potency. They just don't benefit as hard. Continuing at number 9, we have Mr. Incredible coming into that quick stop. So, I know I just bashed on Woody, and I know I just bashed on his tenacity, and here's the exact same amount of tenacity just applied to Incredibles characters and not Toy Story characters. So, 2 things. 1, the Incredibles team is better than the Toy Story team, right? That's not groundbreaking news. Everybody who's watching this video knows that. But the other added effect that Mr. Incredible has towards the end of his leadership ability that Woody didn't have was that when Incredibles heroes gain harmful effects, they have a 50% chance to restore health to their teammate. Now, we don't know how much health they get a chance to restore, but just the fact that when they are given a harmful effect, much similar to Anna's ability, and when they take damage, they get a % chance to heal, this helps you fight back against the harmful effects twofold. You already have a greater chance to resist the harmful effects with your tenacity, and now here's a chance that if the harmful effect is applied, it's lessened even more. So, with Dash being so strong, with Elastigirl being very viable, Jack being viable, and even having Violet in there to just throw a shield on, this is probably one of the few times I would recommend playing Violet because you're trying to get that health boost. And so if you have a shield and the shield takes the damage but the harmful effect is applied, then your health bar goes up. Whereas if you don't have Violet, your health bar goes down, the harmful effect is applied, and then your health goes back up. So you're gaining more health and seeing more of a benefit with Violet's shield than you would be if you didn't have it. If you don't have the full Incredibles team and you're looking for other characters to put in, Elsa has high tenacity and she's very strong. We know this. Hades has high tenacity and is very strong, would benefit from this. Anna, just because Anna is just a phenomenal support and she just kind of plug and play, goes everywhere. And then I really like Barley. Barley's stats across the board looked really, really good. His ability to bounce around harmful effects and cleanse his own team of harmful effects gives you a lot of benefit to you receive the harmful effect, you gain that health restore, and then Barley's able to cleanse it and then essentially pass it on to the other team. Spot number 8, it was tough. I questioned this a lot. I really didn't want to put this character where I did. The metagame suggests otherwise. There's a lot of factors that go into it that we'll talk about. And number 8 is Ariel. So 8, Ariel. very basic. It's very plain. I'm not even sure how I feel about it. Teammates gaining 8% bonus maximum health. I personally don't necessarily think this is that amazing, but I do know that max health is not anything to joke around about. Ariel does have recover. She has the ability to purge. It can chain damage. She's not a bad character, and when you look at the metagame, even at higher levels, Ariel is still a very widely used leader. So the more oceanic characters we get, the more characters that go with her, the more characters we have like Gantu and Bubbles that benefit from their health bars being higher and their percentages being higher, the better everything's just gonna be. And so the other thing that I did was I looked at Gantu and Bubbles, and I looked at their abilities sort of escalating and stacking with their higher max health. And so when you give them that 8% bonus maximum health, you are increasing the amount of damage that they're going to get, because even the damage they receive still puts them at a higher cap with Ariel's bonus health, plus the stones that you might be throwing onto them. So if you haven't unlocked Bubbles and Gantu, which even if you have, unless you've been wailing hard, you don't have it at any level that's viable. Same with Stitch. So even though she's probably best with these characters, just because they happen to hit in an area that she benefits them in, you're more likely to be running her with characters like Elsa, Hades, Zurg, Simba, and Sparrow. These are characters that are all good in that realm. They already have very high health for the categories they're in. So Elsa, Hades, Zurg, and Sparrow, very high health offensive characters. Simba benefiting from more defense for percent of missing health. And I did the math again. He gets his bonus maximum health. That means he's going to be missing a greater percentage of health. So his defense is going to start scaling earlier on, making him a harder to remove tank, allowing him to more efficiently protect characters like Elsa, Zurg, and Hades. If you're looking at Kristoff's defense scaling and going up with some other characters gives him a bigger benefit to the max health as well. Number 7's an interesting take. It's somebody that we don't have access to yet, but based on the ability, based on the new oceanic characters that are rolling out, I had to give number 7 slot to Maui. So I know Maui's not in the game, and I know that he has to be coming soon with this big push to oceanic characters. So when we look at his ability, he gives a 10% chance for oceanic characters to assist a teammate when that teammate uses a basic attack. So not when that teammate uses any ability, but when that teammate uses specifically a basic attack. Looking at new oceanic characters like Stitch, who use a lot of their basic attacks, and Bubbles and Gantu with getting benefits from their basic attacks, you're going to start to see this ability and this leadership ability used a little bit more and have more viability than it did before. Oceanic teammates dealing more bonus damage while affected by a shield might give you the ability to actually use Tinkerbell. I know there's a ton of Tinkerbell fans out there that are just waiting for a rework, or they're waiting for shield buffs, or they're just waiting for shields to matter. I don't necessarily know if 10% bonus damage is going to make that much of a difference. I know Hiro Hamada applies shields, so he's a plug-and-play character. I know he's not listed on the potentially list. I kind of left the potentially list empty because this is just oceanic teammates. And the tag is so small right now because this is the pool that we have to look at. So as Oceanic expands, we're going to get a little bit more plug and play, and we might see characters like Hiro Hamada being beneficial. I also was skeptical to put Hiro Hamada in the potential list because he is such a strong support right now, given instant turns and shields, that I wouldn't be surprised if we saw nerf at some point, at least in the next 6 months, maybe even sooner. And I didn't want to say, oh, this is definitely somebody we should be looking at running and lead anybody to going in and getting this character or spending money on this character and then having a nerf come in and going, wow, I don't even have Maui yet and I went after this character. The other reason is we just don't have Maui yet. So his ability overall, the ability to assist when using basics, benefits Stitch, Bubbles, and Gantu. It's going to benefit Jack Sparrow. You're going to get more characters involved, but it's very restrictive to oceanic characters, and I know that this is like the first kind of hot take for me potentially in this video of putting him up here so high, but I do have Maui at 7 and at the ranking of B tier for leadership abilities. Probably the first hot take of the video. You've kept track of the leaders that are in here. You know who's still to come. You might be real shocked and you might be pretty confused. So the first hot take of this video, just missing the top 5, coming in at number 6, is Simba. Here we go with definitely a hot take. Just barely missing the top 5 is Simba. Teammates receiving 20% bonus maximum health while defending in club wars. Now, we saw Lotso with the exact same ability for club wars, but going on both sides, right? It didn't just have to be defending. However, he doesn't have a full team, and it didn't say teammates. Simba's ability applies to all teammates, right? All are welcome in Simba's Pride, and all are welcome at Pride Rock. So we're looking at the circle of life. We're looking at this all-inclusive mentality. Everybody gets bonus maximum health. We already discussed the benefits to maximum health, and we already discussed the benefits to health stones versus defensive stones. So the only downside to him not getting pushed up any higher is the fact that Club Wars don't have a timer. Somebody has to win. And so with that sort of mentality, it's tough to say that you can just throw a team in here that just sort of grinds it out and stalls over and over and over again, because somebody has to win this fight. He doesn't receive that benefit of, I can just throw this massive defensive bonus team in here and they'll just grind it out and my opponent won't be able to kill me and all my characters, so I'll just rack up a bunch of wins and here's a tower that my opponent will never be able to take. We also just recently had released Cantu and Bubbles, and if we hadn't had them released recently, we probably would see Simba down maybe 13, 14. His ability really wouldn't even be that strong or that great, but we have characters that are receiving massive benefits from this bonus health. If they were getting benefits from Ariel's 8% bonus, they're getting a huge bonus from Simba's 20% bonus max health, even on just the defensive end. So if you're looking to get more defensive teams and you already thought to yourself, well, this one's a no-brainer because Simba's thing is specifically for Club Wars, how could this be bad? It's not a trap. Spoiler, it's good. You're going to want to try to focus on this if you're looking for just a defensive team. If you don't have Gantu and Bubbles, which again, we probably don't. If you don't have Elsa and you're a free-to-play player, you probably don't. I know I don't, and I am throwing a little bit of money around. I still don't have Gantu and Bubbles, and I'm still throwing money around. I would recommend characters like Astigirl, Hiro Hamada, Hades, and Dash, because all of those characters are good. They already have a decent amount of health, and they're definitely going to benefit from getting more health in every kind of tournament, but just like Simba says, in Club Conquest. All right, here we go. Beginning our top 5 countdown for the top 16 in order ranked leader abilities in Disney Sorcerer's Arena. Coming in at number 5, finally a Toy Story character that we needed, but we probably don't deserve, Bo Peep. Beginning our top 5 with our first A ranking is Bo Peep. Now, why is Bo Peep with a Toy Story tag moving up here into the top 5 when the other Toy Story characters didn't make it? Well, 8% bonus offense is like that offensive stone. We're putting that offensive stone on a lot of characters, and we're seeing a lot of benefit from that offensive stone. So now here's a leader that can double your offensive stones and the power of those stones, almost, and allows you, if they're Toy Story characters, to more than double that offensive stone. So with characters like Emperor Zurg and Buzz Lightyear, if you're applying offensive stones to them, which you're definitely doing for Emperor Zurg is hitting like a monster. He'll be one of the hardest hitting, if not the hardest hitting character in the game at max level with an offensive stone and Bo Peep as your leader. Now, if you can manage to get solid taunts and solid support from characters like Woody, Jessie, and Bo Peep, with her ability to just throw her taunt around and just kind of get that infinite sort of defense up taunt thing going and really shield Emperor Zurg with some speed, you can do a lot of damage. If you haven't looked at the kits of some of these characters, they're very unique. They're very interesting. Jessie has the ability to continue to gain speed meter up when interacting with Toy Story characters. So Jessie has the ability to take a lot of turns and output a lot of damage. And just continue to fuel that train where she's hitting harder than the other team, even if she wasn't designed to hit harder, because Bo Peep is giving her 20%. Now, it does say instead, so your Toy Story characters aren't getting 28%, okay? But if you look at Emperor Zurg's offense, if you take your crit stone and you take his bonus, I mean, you're looking at over 30% bonus offense, which when you look at some of the numbers that he has hitting-wise, he's hitting for like time and a half on Elsa. So it's somebody to consider. I really like Bo Peep. There is a potential for more Toy Story teammates to get released, whereas Toy Story villains are more on like the down low. You could definitely see more Toy Story heroes coming out, giving Bo Peep a lot more viability as an offensive character, and she just is sweet. If you saw the movie, is just, it's not really like the Bo Peep that we knew from the beginning, but it's kind of like a fun Bo Peep, and from looking at Disney Sorcerer's Arena and a character model perspective, it's pretty cool. Now, I know what you're thinking. You've done the math, you've looked at the 16 leaders, you're thinking to yourself, there's just no way that one of these spots is going to get taken up by this leader. And I beg to differ, and I'm about to make a real strong argument for the super hot take of this video. Spot number 4 goes to Pocahontas. We're all going to pause for a second. And I'm going to let you guys get your venting out, get your ranting out, get your, I'm about to turn this video off, get the, oh my goodness, everything this guy said is wrong. There's no way. This is why I never take him seriously. I'm pulling my sub. I'm never doing this. Let's just get it all out now. Because if you take one thing away from this video, it's that I personally think you are sleeping on Pocahontas. Let's just look at these abilities. Hero, offense teammates, 8% bonus offense. So there's your Bo Peep. Hero defense teammates gain 8% bonus defense. We got nobody for that right now. Hero support teammates gain bonus 2% recovery and potency. These are not different levels of this ability. This is one leadership ability for all of your characters. Here is your one leader who stands up at the front and says, I'm here to help everyone. We thought Simba was all-inclusive on Pride Rock. No. Pocahontas is truly the all-inclusive leader. As long as you have heroes, just throw them on there. Look at these heroes that we have. We got Bo Peep as your tank. We got Dash and Elsa as your hitters. Jack Sparrow could be a hitter. Cobra Bubbles potentially as a support. Anna as a support. Robin Hood hits pretty hard. You got Kristoff and Simba as other potential tanks. I mean, these are good teams. If you were to go up against a fully 7-starred, fully Gear 7'd Bo Peep, Dash, Elsa, Cobra Bubbles, Pocahontas team, Kristoff team, any of these characters, these are great characters, and this would not be an easy game to win by any means, irregardless of the team that you're playing against. Now, most of the critique that people have against Pocahontas, I think, is two things. One, she's a fairly slow character herself, so even though her abilities are really, really good, she hardly ever gets to use them. But if you're using her for her leader ability, then her abilities are strong enough that even if you only hit them once or twice in the game, you're getting your value out of them. And two, there's probably not that many people that have any of these characters at a high enough gear level or star level, let alone Pocahontas at a high enough gear level or star level, that they're even running her or thinking about running her. So my recommendation for you, if you're looking to do something that could potentially be game-changing and just back-breaking for your opponents, take Pocahontas off the back burner, get her characters that go with her kit, get her characters that benefit her and benefit these abilities, and throw them in there, and I promise you, you're going to see results. I've talked to members of my club about it. They love Pocahontas. They really disagree with me and that her leadership ability is any good and that she's any good as a character at all. If you go to DSA Fans' character, she is on the avoid list. She's on the you absolutely don't want this. And I've played lots of different games. I've used lots of different tactics. There's no way a leader who has the same percentage benefits as all the other leaders in the game and just gives a flat application of them to every single member of her team, no ifs, ands, or buts, no exceptions asked, is going to be bad. And you can post your comments and you can disagree with me and I'm going to read them and I'm going to hit the heart and love on them. This is my hot take of the video. Now, I'm not dumb. I'm not breaking her into the top 3 because there's no speed in these categories. And the other characters that are in there, they're just faster, they're just better. And unfortunately in this game, speed is king. But I think Pocahontas is definitely nobody to sleep on. Easily in the top 5. I have her at number 4. Now, the last 3 probably get categorized in the same tier as far as leadership abilities go. Coming in at number 3, simply because we don't necessarily have the team that we've been promised just yet, is Hiro Hamada. In the top 3 for my S tier rankings, I'm beginning with Hiro Hamada. And why am I beginning with Hiro Hamada? Because if Shan Yu was as good as he was with his speed percentage boost, you have a chance that Tech Big Hero 6 teammates are going to get 20% speed. If these characters are even mediocre characters, they're going to be A tier or S tier characters just with Hiro Hamada as an ability, or as a leader ability. Not to mention Hiro Hamada is just a busted support right now in the first place, so if you don't wind up seeing a nerf anytime soon, you're just going to be running away with some games. Now, the characters that they've added to the tech list, I put all under potential. Why did I put them all under potential? Because they're not big Hero 6, and even if they did get that 10% speed boost, they're just kind of okay characters at the moment. They're not bad, and they certainly have their abilities. They might not be anybody's particularly focused on farming and been gearing up in farming. If you have, you're probably seeing the benefit of this with Hiro Hamada, but we know big Hero 6 characters are coming. We already have a villain spoiled for us. So big Hero 6 has the potential to really break open the meta in the format, and awkwardly potentially in ways that we thought Frozen did, but we'll probably see Frozen didn't do. And this could be scary, and it could be really, really bad. I know that they're trying to push characters out there that really deal with slows and that counterattack when characters gain different things. Maybe the big Hero 6 team will have the charged mechanic. Maybe they won't. I know they're not out here yet, but you can't convince me that a 20% speed boost on any character they release in the game isn't worthy of a top 3 slot and an S ranking when Kingdom Heroes are in the same boat, just ruling and dominating the meta, and they get like a third of this speed boost, if that. The top 2 was a super hard choice. People are probably going to make arguments, flip-flop them either way, but given that this character's ability was specific to just the Frozen team and the Frozen characters, the number 2 leader slot is going to go to Anna. Coming in at number 2, we got a lot of text, and we'll try to break it down, and most of her text seems like it's going to be a good thing, but her text is what's keeping her and will probably cause her leader ability to fall down the chart as this game progresses, is Anna. Now, at the start of the battle, first if Kristoff is a teammate, you're going to increase his speed meter by 20% per Frozen teammate, including himself. Meaning, if you have a full team of Frozen characters, Kristoff's speed meter is going to go to 100%. So worst case scenario, he's a coin flip away from going first to any other character in the game. Most likely he's just going first. Okay, when a teammate, this is any teammate, this is not a Frozen teammate, their health falls below 60%, not 50%, you are going to give them defense up for 2 turns. Defense up increases their defense by 50%. That's not anything to laugh about. That is a big number. That is big potential. 2 whole turns. You're going to apply healing over time, restoring 10% of their max health over 2 turns. Now, it's over their max health. Okay? It's not a flat number, so that means the greater health that the character had, the more this effect is going to happen. You're going to extend the duration of one random helpful effect. So, if a character has offense up on them, their health falls below 60%, you're going to give them defense up by 2 turns, you're going to heal them over time, and you're going to extend the duration of a helpful effect. So they could get their offense up again, they could get another defense up. This health that is restored is going to be increased by 5% per Frozen teammate. Now, this increase is already fairly good at 5%, at 10%, and at 15%. So yes, it's getting better because 25% health restore for your Frozen teammates is just insane. It really is just insane. We've also seen it be viable and work without Olaf. That's why I put Olaf in the potential category, because we're starting to get other characters that benefit from max health, such as Gantu and Bubbles. So we have the ability to say, Olaf's kind of slow, maybe I don't necessarily need his things. Anna's already benefiting these helpful effects. I might not need the tactics. I might not need the increased help duration from Olaf. I can get away with somebody else. And then her last ability, if the affected teammate is Elsa, we're also going to increase the speed meter by 30%. So if Elsa has her health drop below 60%, she's going to get all of those bonuses, plus her speed meter is going to get increased by 30%. So obviously best with Elsa and Kristoff because they're the only 2 characters mentioned by name specifically in her leadership ability that we need. Her ability does apply to every single character. So for instance, if you were running only her as a Frozen teammate, then the health restored would be 15% of their max health over 2 turns instead of 10%, right? But right now, if you run a full Frozen team, you're looking at 35% of their max health over 2 turns as opposed to just 15% of their max health over 2 turns. So that's where Anna's going to be. She can't take a number 1 slot. She's high right now because she just simply does so many things, and not even just in her kit. Again, we're just talking about leadership abilities. So because her leadership ability does apply to everybody, even though it's really good for Frozen characters, and even though it really specifically does more for Elsa and Kristoff, she still is giving defense up, restoring health, and increasing benefits of random effects, and there's just not any other characters that are doing all of that right now, and so it's really hard to put her any lower on the list because the meta is backing up her ability. It is that good because this many people are playing her, and I've even seen people play her as a lead over Shan Yu in some of the Kingdom teams. I personally wouldn't recommend that, but I could see it working. And without further ado, going to that number 1 spot, yes, it's cliche, yes, it might be a little stereotypical, but it's got a big broad tag. It's just continued to dominate the meta up and down from bottom level players to top level players, and the more Kingdom characters that get released, the better this character is going to be, Shan Yu. Yes, I even rolled my eyes at myself when I did this. It's so difficult to not rank Shan Yu at number 1. Part of me didn't want to. Part of me looked at the abilities and said, I just don't want to do this. I want to put Hiro Hamada at 1 because his speed bonus is better. I want to put Pocahontas at 1 because she's giving more for all these other things. But unfortunately, the meta is just not lying to us, and the Kingdom tag just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And the more characters they add to the Kingdom tag, the greater benefit that 8% bonus speed is. Now, his ranking is certainly affected by the other characters that fall into the Kingdom territory. For instance, Sorcerer's Mickey and Aladdin both apply speed down to other characters on the other team. So that, given your speed boost and their speed down, that just makes for a real runaway train scenario in a lot of situations. So it is hard to want to not put him at number 1. That's why I also did a ranking for tiers. So S tier for Shan Yu, S tier for Anna, S tier for Hiro Hamada. They're all exceptionally good. Again, this is if you're looking at the best with characters, they're maxed out at max gear, and you're just looking at the abilities themselves. So with all things considered equal, this is where I would have ranked everybody's leadership abilities. So there you have it. There's a breakdown of the top 16 leadership abilities. I know a lot of it is controversial. I know that there are going to be people that have varying opinions. There's going to be videos coming out soon from other players as the game continues to go, and there's already videos out now that you can check out. I am really interested in hearing your comments on this video. I hope this video provided some insight and another way to look at the characters that maybe you hadn't thought about. If you like this content and you want to see other content, we're giving videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday here on this channel. You can go ahead and hit that subscribe button, ring that bell for me, and you'll get notified of those when those videos get released. If not, you can check out some other videos that we have here, potentially some other controversial information. That's going to do it from me here at Under the Radar Gaming. Ta-ta for now.